Welcome, everyone. This is Pally Noodles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest in LOTRO and hear LOTRO Players. And this week, I'm joined by Krister,
Hello.
Cinders,
Hello.
and Sanswinda.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And are you all ready for some patch notes?
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, yes. I'm ready.
All right. This week, we had update 44.2, which was released on Wednesday, May 21st, 2025. And a special note, kinship housing storage issue resolution. We have corrected an issue with kinship escrow during the character transfer. Kinship escrow will now correctly transfer with the guild leader and can be found in the escrow on the target game world. Items previously lost from kinship escrow during kinship leader transfers will still need to be addressed by customer service. We have corrected an issue with premium house storage, losing some items during house sale, including on transfer. All eligible items from this per server storage will now properly move to escrow while selling premium housing. Items previously lost when selling a premium house will be returned to housing escrow storage upon first logon following this game update. On shared items account transfers, items in premium house storage will now be moved into shared housing storage during the transfer. This allows the items to be accessed on the destination game world without requiring owner of a specific house address. These changes require that the player to log into their current game world prior to further transfers. Failing to do so will permanently disassociate missing items from your game account, and customer service will not be able to assist. Therefore, it's extremely important for players to log onto a game world once this fix is in place prior to any further transfers. We also always recommend that players log into a character on their origin world prior to transfers when possible. That when possible is, of course, saying that because it won't be possible if you, of course, you're transferring from one of the dark worlds where the servers aren't open anymore. But that's a special note there. They have found a resolution in there, but they are saying that you need to make sure that you log into your character before you try to transfer them again. So why would some be wanting to transfer again? Well, there might be some people who might be wanting to get off of Orcrist, for example, because of how crowded it is. You'll just have to see what's going on in there. But whatever you do is, if you transferred someone over to Orcrist and then you say, all right, this is a little bit too busy for me, then you want to go to another world, make sure you log into your character that owns the house before you do another transfer. Next, Sting opens. Our newest 64-bit game world opened up or soon after the worlds came back up on there. I will read further more on Sting in a moment. Myrtle Mint has arrived with new rewards, also in Adventurers and Travelers steel-bound boxes that I will read more about that later on. And the 14th Legendary Items Reward Track has arrived. The 14th Legendary Items Reward Track has arrived with new rewards. Make sure to claim your rewards prior to the debut of the 15th Items Reward Track at 10 a.m. Eastern on Wednesday, August 2025. And of course, before the worlds go down to whatever maintenance restart is happening on that day, of course. New rewards include the incomparable coffer of the Jade Speckled Serpent, legendary coffer of the Heroes of the Dwarven Halls, legendary coffer of the Elvish Outpost, and the legendary coffer of the Striped Jerboa. And of course, those are the items that are received at the 25, 50, 75, and 100 level respectively for the season. Also, Dunshuma, the King's Fortress, is now available on Tier 3 difficulty. The leading the charge deed for Dunshuma, the King's Fortress, runs until 3 a.m. Eastern on June 26th. So that's approximately a month from now. Also, on top of this, for the 18th anniversary, 2 whites that would sometimes aggro on Lalia before the missing begins in Lalia Safe Passage have been removed. Several whites in Lalia's Safe Passage have been moved further back from Lalia's path to ease the difficulty on non-delving difficulties. I guess that means they are outside the aggro range in non-delvings, but within the aggro range if you are doing a delving. All ideal locations for sparking an interest in front of the passing pony should now be available more frequently. The anniversary event wrapper, Another Lovely Year, can now be turned into Waldo Rumble after the completion of 7 anniversary quests and or anniversary missions. Note, this fix requires the quest to reset. Current quest progress has been lost with release of update 44.2. That, though, of course, is now irrelevant since it's past the Thursday that it applied to. The objectives at the end of A Gift for the North have been adjusted for clarity. As for seasonal loot box rotation, Rowan Raspberry has been retired for the season. Adventurers and Travelers Steelbound loot boxes contain new Able Angler cosmetic items, including Avatar Cosmetics, a steed and matching war steed cosmetics, a bear cosmetic pet, a new housing item, including a chair and painting. These items are also available on Myrtle Mint for Figments of Splendor. Adventurers and Travelers Steelbound loot boxes are also now contain a pack of the Able Angler and desk of the Able Angler. These items are not yet available for barter. The following cosmetics and housing items are now available on Myrtle Mint for Figments of Splendor: the Mask of the Silent Hunter, Cloak of the Silent Hunter, Hooded Cloak of the Silent Hunter, Settee of the Silent Hunter, and the Garden Perch of the Silent Hunter.
You know who I
A
think
number
should
of items
invest in those? So do you know who I think should invest in those?
Who?
Sam Swinda.
Oh. He says Silent Hunter, not Spider Hunter.
I just was listening to this hunter.
If I was hunting spiders, it would most likely not be silent.
Another one! Ah!
And a number of items have been moved from Myrtle Mint onto the Curator. As for Dunshuma, the King's Fortress, warning indicators for charging lions should now render regardless of your dynamic particle rendering setting selection. Bug fixes and tuning adjustments. War Master Mahargab reduced induction time for the skills Command Loose, Command Throw, and Cruel Dagger, and fixed an issue where players were not always being freed from Pinning Spear. Also fixed an issue where players were not released if the boss dies while they are pinned. As for Ushtala, the Lady of the Pride, reduced the cooldown on Ravenous Lioness's Vicious Claw, reduced the cooldown on Unleash the Pride, reduced the cooldown on Shoot to Kill, and increased the damage on Focused Shot distributed. As for Zidunam, the Serpent Reborn, fixed an issue where the Serpent's glare beam was not visible after a wipe, reduced the cooldown on Serpent's Cry, and increased the damage of Coiled Strike. And as for miscellaneous, the Black Serpent skill to Sandworm Copper Token Exchange no longer erroneously requires 10 copper tokens in addition to the scale. The Guardian said Claymore of the West now correctly improves the damage of all bleeds. Shields found in the Dunshuma chest can now correctly disenchant into embers of enchantment. The Temple of Utungbur Garash will no longer summon fragments during the normal stages of the fight. The Subuzuri and Ekamati forces in Garash Karu in Amrul now play combat sounds when you approach them. Elder Roshat in Kutra and on the Cape of Umbar no longer despawns if you leave the Elder Hall without accepting the Wellspring quest. Gorthogs should no longer become stuck in their fist pump animation loop.
That's kind of funny that they were getting stuck there.
Yep. And concerning French localization, the translation for the deeds with before words objective has been updated with the inspire skill instead of influence skill, and the translation for the Bjorning quartermaster of Bejmacha Cape of Umbar has been updated. As for German localization, the translations for tall decorative walls, smiles has been updated. And that's it for this week's release notes. So you're relieved, Krister, that's this short?
I sorry, I passed out. I didn't realize it was going to be that short.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that wasn't too
More
bad.
coffee now needed.
Let's say he should have caffeinated
Yes,
first.
what a marvelous philosophy you have. Let me exercise that right now.
All right. Then let's get to the news concerning Sting. Yes, the new server Sting has opened. Learn more about the opening of our new US-based 64-bit server Sting. Sting joins Glamoring, Peregrine, and Angmar as 64-bit servers located in the United States. For detailed information on transferring your characters, please see our 64-bit transfer FAQ, which is linked in the Sting article. And the latest on transfer-related options is that when will the so-called Dark Worlds open for transfers? Transfers from the Dark Worlds would begin on Wednesday, May 28th. The following is the date and order of opening, with all transfers starting once the game worlds open from our weekly maintenance. So therefore, on the maintenance day, on Wednesday the 28th, we have Firefoot and Silverload for the US side, and Mayar and Estelle for the EU side. On Thursday, May 29th, we have Vilja and Imladris on the US side, and Anduin and Withywindle on the EU side. On Friday, May 30th, we have Dardel and Melendor on the US side, and Snowborn and Morthond on the EU side. On Monday, June 2nd, you notice they are skipping the weekend here, we have Nimrodel and Winfola on the US side, and Gilrain and Vanyar on the EU side. And finally, on Tuesday, June the 3rd, we have Elendomir and Rittermark on the US side, and Eldar on the EU side. And once that one is open in there, they will remain open for transfers only until the end of August.
Do you have any characters left on those servers, Pine?
I suspect I have some characters there, but no characters that I cared enough about, because if I cared about the character, I would have transferred them a long time ago.
Okay, fair.
I suspect that a lot of them are low-level pine leaves.
Oh, I think it would be cool.
That would make sense.
You leave them behind on the Dark Worlds, and one of them becomes the new Sauron, basically. So we have Dark Pine Leaf, who emerges from one of the Dark Worlds
Okay,
And
so
you learned about it. You didn't even request a transfer, and one day you get a notification that Dark Pine Leaf is transferred to the server. And you're like,
Darkleaf
I don't even
emerges from the
Darkleaf.
ground.
I didn't request a transfer. What's going on?
The name of Pineleaf's new monster character player that he doesn't plan to ever log in.
Darkleaf. I like that.
Darkleaf.
That's kind of a super villainous quality to it, you know. And that he's not, he's not necessarily a super evil super villain, but it's like maybe he's like he wants to like preserve nature, but the only way that he determined he could do that is by nuking all the cities on Earth. Maybe not. That doesn't feel very Pine Leaf-ish, but we can work on the plot. We can work on that plot.
Instead of like a dark pine or like, you know how he goes by Pine Leaf? There's like Pine Wilt, Fusiform Pine.
Ooh.
I might have Googled
Pinegeist.
Pine Rust. Pine Blister.
All right.
That sounds more like a funeral home, frankly.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Of course, they all have their scientific names, but this one is my
You hope
favorite.
Pineleaf runs a
Needle
funeral home.
Rust.
Darkleaf was pretty cool, though.
Yes, Darkleaf does work.
All right. So the second question is, when will transfers between the 64-bit worlds begin? We expect to begin rotating transfers from two 64-bit worlds to a third 64-bit game world on a weekly basis starting on Wednesday, June 4th. We will have more information on the order of rotation as we get closer to the date. Each week, for 1 week, players will be able to transfer their characters from 2 of the US worlds to 1 of the US worlds, and from 2 of the EU worlds to 1 of the EU worlds. And the worlds players can transfer will rotate each week. We will continue to offer these rotating transfers for 6 weeks, giving each player 2 weeks to transfer on each world. After this time frame, free transfers between these worlds will no longer be available. Now, they have decided, well, actually, I don't think they've completely decided, or it would be in this article, but they are considering starting with the target being Orcrist. I know that sounds counterintuitive, considering that Orcrist is the heaviest one right now. So when it does come up, it is going to come with the disclaimer that unless you are desperate to join all your friends who transferred there, unless you're doing that, please don't come to Orcrist. But there apparently are some people who are broken away from their kinship for one reason or another, and they desperately want to get to Orcrist, despite the fact that they've been telling these people, you don't want to go there, you don't want to go there, you don't want to go there. So they are considering, okay, we'll give you the first week to going over, probably because they don't want it to be the last week or something. Because they do not want people going to Orcrist unless you're really desperate to go there, because that's where all your friends are.
Does that also give them a chance to change their mind and get off of Orcrist and one of the next
it gives them a chance to change their mind. Yes. So, anyway, that is it. Steam is open, and that next week they'll start Dark World transfers, and the week after that they'll start with the 64-bit world transfers between those. So between the 64-bit worlds that you have in there through the non-VIP ones. Right. Next, we have the Treasure Boogin event is open through May 27th. Now, from what I hear, the rewards are the same as from last time. The show notes do have a link to the guide. The Treasure Boogin event is a challenge to take place periodically in-game where you will find and defeat special Treasure Boogins in many scaling instances to reclaim their stolen treasure before they flee. Defeating Treasure Boogins awards you coins, and the Boogins that you can turn into NPC Theodore Gorse for numerous rewards. Finding and defeating treasure boogans also completes the quests that awards the Virtue XP, crafting materials, incomparable enchanting runes, sealed traceries, and more. When you encounter a treasure boogan and a scaled instance, you will have 1 minute to defeat the boogan before it escapes. There is a chance for treasure boogans to appear in many instances, and you can speak to the NPC Theodore Gorse inside these instances to learn more about the event and barter rewards. Gorse is also located in Bree outside the Bree Town Hall, Rivendell near Elrond Stables, and in the 21st Hall near the Stable Master. And the scaled instances needs to be at your character level or above in order for a defeated boogan to drop treasure when defeated. Your character must be at least level 20 in order to run the treasure boogan event. Consider that the bulk of these instances have a minimum level of level 20. I suspect that that's a self-enforcing thing. When you first log into the game world on a character that is at least level 20, a new quest will appear in the Quest Actions Available UI for the next 5 minutes. If you miss your chance, you can log out then back in for the quest to reappear in the UI. The name of the quest is The Treasure Boogan Event is Here, and completing the quest will award you with your first coin of the boogan. The list of scaling instances where the treasure boogans can appear is listed in the quest description in your quest log. It's a pretty long list. Essentially, it's just about any scalable instance. And here are the names and descriptions of the quests associated with the Boogan event. Treasure Boogan, the quest. The Treasure Boogan is bestowed when a Treasure Boogan appears in your instance, and the quest can only be completed once every 5 minutes. Seeking the Treasure Boogan, this quest is automatically bestowed when you acquire the Treasure Boogan for the first time, and is completed by completing the Treasure Boogan 3 times. And thwarting the treasure boogans, this quest is also automatically bestowed when you first complete Seeking the Treasure Boogans, and is completed by completing Seeking the Treasure Boogans 4 times. This quest can only be completed once per event. So that means 12 treasure boogans caught will then be able to finish the outer wrapper then. You trade your coins of the boogan in exchange for numerous rewards, including cosmetic pets, housing items, and more. Theodore Gorse's lucky feathers are available for Mithril and guarantee that treasure boogans appear in their scaled instance for the next 90 minutes. The current list of rewards as follows: the Tome of the Formal Corgi. I think I have a character that actually has that for running that last year. Tome of the Blood Creban. Boogan Treasure Sack, cosmetic item. Banquet Decoration, housing item selection box. Tome of the Teacup Goat Kid. Tome of the Golden Cave Claw. Keen Boogan Treasure Sack, and Tipped Bag of Coins. Right, and that is it for the Boogan event, and as I said, that is running through May 27th. Finally, Myrtle Mint has arrived with some new items. And Myrtle Mint has arrived with new items also available in Adventures Traveler Steel Boxes. I think I pretty much read that off earlier when I was reading off the notes, but the linked article relating to this does show off the various shows off the bear and the backpack, as well as the front of someone wearing the outfit next to the desk. And these are items that says Pack of the Able Angler and Desk of the Able Angler. So things to do with being an able angler. So if you want a nice fishing outfit, this is the place to go. You can talk to Myrtle Mint. And that's it for our news this week. So let's head to our store sales. Cinders, what's on sale this week?
On sale. On sale this week. It is Forge Your Own Ring. Get 20% off. Crafting Guild Access ingredient packs, crafting accelerators, rapid crafting tiers, and recipe books through May 29th. And the weekly coupon is for Indigo, and the coupon code is Blue Skies with no spaces.
All right, thank you, Cinders. So let's head into our week in gaming. And Krister, what were you up to?
Well, I decided to log into my ward to see how he was doing. And I decided to pay my little friends in Horhollow a visit because, you know, you got to go down and say hi to the hobbits there. And I forgot how to play my ward completely. And so another person showed up to the village, and I got scared, and I ran off. And then I barked, and then I sniffed and scratched, and then I stealthed and logged on. And so, but that was fun running around. There wasn't besides the encounter in Horhollow, there wasn't much going on. But
so is your warg back in Grams, or are you just going to load in on landscape somewhere random and suddenly there will be a warg?
I try to commit myself to get back to Grams before I log off at all points. Not like, I've got to hide by this tree and emergency log so they don't see me. Although I felt like that. I felt like that, but I didn't do it. So.
Well, I was just wondering if you ever have done that just so that when you log in, if somebody's right there, it's like, surprise!
That would be horrible, too. Especially if they waited for you.
But if they didn't know, right?
Right.
But you also wouldn't know if you were logging into a pile of freeps.
That is true. But that would be part of what would make it so hysterical, because the freaks would not be expecting you, and you would not be expecting them. It would be glorious. That moment
where everybody stares at each other. Do I know you?
Okay, sorry.
Besides my adventure in the moors, I played some Enshrouded with Sands and Cinders, and we did a little adventuring, which was a lot of fun. And I did a little Helldivers, and then I'm closing and I'm making the perfect starship in Starship EVO. So I'm very excited about that. And so that was my week. And Cinders, what were you up to?
Was very busy driving all sorts of different places this week. But in my spare moments here and there, I did play Enshrouded with the new updates with Sans and Krister and Gerardo. And then I've played off and on this week, mostly yesterday and today because I didn't have work. Lots of Stardew Valley with Pineleaf and Alone, and I'm so proud of myself. I made it to level 85 in my own world for the first time ever, without anybody helping me, because anytime I've made it past level 10, I've had somebody else helping me. So I made it to 85 all by my little lonesome. And then I did run through more of the Mirkwood content with the guys from the Academy and was trying to figure out why on earth I thought I wanted to play a burglar. Because my burglar is a hobbit, and as I'm playing, I'm trying to play her like I play my guardian, and burglars and guardians are not the same.
No, they are not.
Anyhow, I was like, why am I so squish? Oh, right, I'm a burglar. Okay, that's why I'm so squishy.
Corey Olsen has times like that, especially in the early years of Grifflet, where he would keep on forgetting that he's not on his guardian anymore.
Right? I was like, I miss my guardian. And we didn't have a guardian in the group, so I could probably get a guardian ready to run with everybody on Arkenstone, but it's all good. I can stick with a burglar. At least for a little longer. Sans, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. I did some more anniversary questing, delivering gifts, and actually completing some of the wrapper things. And made a Sans window for Sting. And then I played some Uncharted with you guys and did some exploring and crafting on my own. and I got a new house and went fishing in ESO with Grandis. So it was pretty fun. How was your week, Pineleaf?
All right. Well, my guardian reached ended white, so I'm making decent progress over there. My lore master and warden continued along with the latest content. And in Stardew Valley, in addition to what I did with Cinders, I continued with my beach farm, where I am about halfway through the. Actually, I guess getting close to 3/4 of the way through the third year there. I've unlocked most of Ginger Island, and I've caught all of the fish except for Legend. Seems like that whenever I really want to get Legend, it decides that they'll have a drought in the area, and Legend can only be caught in the rain. It must be a conspiracy put up by Legend to avoid being caught. I don't know. But that fish won't evade me next spring. No way it will. And that is my week in gaming. If you would like to send us some feedback, you could send it to podcast@LOTROplayers.com. The Players Alliance has 2 shows on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We record LOTRO Players News and we record DDO Players News when Drac is available. You guys choice for our shows at LOTROplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pilot Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.